Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the next video in the mock interview series with UiPath Aspirant. For the people who are looking this series for the first time, in this series I am taking mock interview for candidate based on their resume, their experience and their skill set. Please note that this is just a mock interview. It is not for any client, any customer or any of the job opportunities. The format of the mock interview is absolutely simple. The candidate send me the resume, I set up some time, I take the mock interview and all the confidential details such as the name, the company name, the project information, everything remains confidential with me. Even the name which you see in the mock interview is changed. So you do not have to worry about any of the details. Once I receive the interview, I hide the details, we take the interview. At the end, I guide the candidate that what are the topics he needs to improve upon, and I also provide the feedback on the interview so that they can perform well in their live interview. In terms of cost, the cost of the mock interview is absolutely free for you. You don't have to pay me anything. You just have to send me your resume and we can set up a common time and I conduct a mock interview for you. In case your experience match this mock interview, you can go ahead and watch. But in case you are coming from a different experience, you can go back to the playlist. There we have a couple of mock interviews which are already taken. You can watch them, get some insight, and hopefully that should be helpful in your next interview. If you want to appear for such a mock interview, all you have to do is just drop me an email on the email ID which is available in the description. Having said that, let's get started with today's mock interview. Okay. Hi Dinesh, I hope you're still able to hear me.
Yeah, Mukesh, yeah, I can
Okay,
hear you.
great. Sorry, Dinesh, today we are going to conduct a mock interview for you. Okay, so the format of the mock interview would be simple. I have a resume. I would be asking question based on your resume, whatever you have mentioned. And at the end of the interview, I would provide you the feedback that how was your overall interview, the answers to the questions which you have mentioned incorrectly, and the topics which you need to focus upon. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So let's get started by having a quick introduction about yourself.
Yeah. So I have overall 4 years and 6 months of experience into IT.
Mhm.
So in specific to RP, I have 3 years, which includes both UiPath and SAP BPA. Previously, it was known as SAP IRPA. And
Mhm.
I do have just basic knowledge in Blue Prism.
Okay.
And most of my automations were in context of SAP,
Mhm.
web automation, email automation, and SAP Fury application. And before RPA, I was into SAP. I was a SAP migration consultant.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
this is
So, have you done any certification from UiPath? Paid one, right? Not the free one.
no,
Okay.
no, no.
Okay. And in case of your 3 years of experience in UiPath, right? So, how many projects have you automated end to end in UiPath?
Yeah, I have delivered 4 end-to-end projects,
Okay, so four end to end
and
projects
it
you have
is
delivered.
only
Yeah.
2.5 years, 2 1 year relevant in UiPath. Yeah,
Okay, okay. And all of these, whenever you say end to end, are they already deployed in production? What is the state, right? So are they live, all of them?
yeah, they are deployed in production. That's correct.
Okay, great. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to talk about any one of the automation which you are comfortable talking about out of this four, okay, which you have
Yeah,
work end to end, right? Any one of the automation. Explain me the project.
yeah, sure. The project would be Southern Water Billing. So Southern Water was a UK-based water supplier. So
Mm-hmm,
where they had a like one objective. For example, a customer used to contact the chart agents and ask them to build their meters by
mm-hmm,
giving the meter reading. So this was like whenever the agents try to bill the customer, they used to get some logs in SAP.
mm-hmm,
So this can be removed easily, but this is not a major task of the agent. So they have other like more intensive job to do. So what they did is we have to consolidate all these kind of issues and submit it to the manager. Manager will send the email to I mean they will consolidate the data in Excel and send it. So here our bot will read the email, like we have used performer and dispatcher concepts like architecture.
Mm-hmm.
So dispatcher will read the email and do the basic validations and write it back to the queues. Again, performer will like do the basic, I mean,
Hmm.
the actual process like logging into SAP, entering the T codes, uh, and removing the G logs. So for this, we have used existing UiPath like activities, SAP activities like SAP logon, SAP login,
Hmm.
call transaction,
Hmm.
so read status bar, so like that. So if there is any issues
Hmm.
like business exception, we revert it back to the manager saying that so on so log is not. I mean whatever the status we got in SAP,
Hmm.
we used to send that.
Okay, so if I understand your project correctly, so you have to remove the logs from SAP which are generated
Yeah,
once there is some of the meter reading which is done, right? And all of these
correct.
logs we remove from SAP, right? But just a question here, right? Maybe curiosity question, right? Why do we want to remove the logs from SAP? What is the problem if the logs are still there in the SAP?
Well, bill will be not generated. That's the issue.
Bill will be not generated if we have logs.
Correct. Yes. G log, 10 log. So this could be for a number of reasons. One
Okay.
could be, uh, the difference between last usage and this usage would be very high.
Mm-hmm.
So system may think there could be like unusual consumption.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why the bills, I mean, bills won't be generated. So the agent will validate it and he will note it in Excel to remove it.
Okay, okay, understood. Fine. So now tell me one thing, which activity in UiPath are you using to read the emails?
We get as we using I mean Outlook, we
Hmm.
use read Outlook mail messages.
And what is the output of this get Outlook mail message?
Attachment.
Okay, so you have to read the
It's a
attachments.
attachment.
Okay.
Yes,
And okay,
yes.
so when I use this get Outlook mail message activity, right, my mailbox
Mhm.
might have 100, 200, 300 emails, right? How would the
Correct.
robot know that which is the correct email which I have to read?
We can use filter option.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what filter are you using here in this automation?
Like subject is equal to like the subject name, like whatever it could be subject name.
Okay, subject name, right? Okay. Now, let's
Or
say,
we can also use
hmm,
from,
no,
yeah,
we can
from
do
is
anything,
equal.
right? What you are doing. Well, that's what my question is. We
Yeah,
can do
it
anything,
is a
right?
subject
Yeah.
name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a
subject
subject
name.
name, right? Okay. Now,
Yeah,
a question here for you, Dinesh, right? Your automation
yeah.
first stage is to read the email and get the attachment, right? As a developer, what are the things or what are the validations you have put in the dispatcher to make sure that you read the correct email and you get the correct attachment file, right? What are the validations which you have done?
S- so first that would be 100 emails. We will check the 100 emails.
Okay.
And in subject, we will, I mean, in filter option, we mention like,
Hmm.
yeah, subject
Subject.
is equal
Okay.
to like,
Hmm.
yeah. So that would be one.
Hmm. But I
And
can have two
like,
emails with the same subject, right? In my
yeah, that is,
mailbox, you can send two
yeah.
emails, right? With the same subject, right? Okay. So unread emails are two. There are two with the same subject. Then what is else? What else you have applied the check?
So in for each loop, I mean the output would be a list of mail messages.
Okay.
So in for each loop, I think we can use save attachment. Once it saves, we can like exit from the loop.
Okay, but
That
let's
can.
say I am giving a scenario, right? Let's say you are having two emails. Okay, subject is same. Okay, both of them have an attachment, but the first email has a PDF file as an attachment. The second email has an Excel file as an attachment, and your automation require the second one, the Excel one, right? You don't require the PDF one. So as per your logic, what would happen? The robot will go, it will find that okay, the subject is matching, it has an attachment, it will download, it will exit the loop. Correct?
Okay, correct.
How do we handle this?
So yeah, so we can save these attachments in a folder, like temporary
Mm.
folder.
Mm-hmm.
And while reading it back, we can give a condition. We need to only read the files which are with extension XLSX. That can be.
Okay, fine. So we have got the Excel SX, right? Downloaded and everything, right? Now let's say your Excel is blank. It can happen, right? Excel is
Yes,
having no
yes.
data, is zero,
Yeah,
blank.
business. Yeah, yeah.
What happens
Correct,
to the
correct.
process now?
So just we will use try catch and we will throw an exception stating that
Mm-hmm.
the given in I mean the given file is empty and send an email to any the user who is the owner of the process.
Okay, but what is the logic or what condition? How would the robot know whether the Excel is empty or not?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We can use read range and we can like use
Mm-hmm.
read range activity and find the count number of rows.
Okay, and how do you find the rows? What is the syntax or which activity do you use?
Uh, uh, we use first read range activity and output any data table
Mm-hmm.
and like dt dot row dot count. That would be the syntax.
Okay, cool. Now, you have got an Excel now. This Excel, I'm believing you have the T codes, right?
Not T codes,
Hmm.
information about like a business partner,
Okay, fine, fine. So
basic
what,
information about the customer account.
understood. So what data are you adding to the queue? What
Yeah,
is the
so
information?
correct business partner, that is BP,
Mm-hmm.
and name of the customer, contract account number, and email address. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so all these informations are added to the queue. Okay.
Q.
Uh, which activity are you using in
Mhm.
dispatcher to add this data to the queue?
Add Q item.
Add queue item. However,
Yeah,
your data is already in an Excel
correct,
data table, right? You have an activity which is
correct.
called bulk add queue item. Heard of that?
Yeah, yes,
What
yes.
what does it do?
So, look, basically, AddQ will insert all the data at once,
Yeah.
but the difference between AddQ and bulk add item would be AddQ item will generate unique QID, whereas
Hmm.
bulk add Q item will not generate.
So which one would be faster for you? If I have to execute, right? What do you think which one would be faster? Execution wise.
Bulk add
Bulk,
execution
right?
wise, bulk, yes.
So why are you using then add queue item? Do you have unique reference?
Yeah, we will be getting unique reference. Sorry, I said it was
Hmm. Okay.
unique ID.
Okay. So what is that unique ID? That was my question, right? What is the unique reference for this queue?
Unique like serial number.
Mhm. Okay. So the serial number is a unique reference.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And how many items are you adding to the queue in one run?
Like it depends. Like
Hmm.
each day the volume. This bot executes it on daily basis.
Mhm.
So the volume difference, like between anywhere between 700 to 1000.
700 to 1000 items are added to the queue using the dispatcher. Okay. Now, all these items. So, whenever you add data to the queue, right, what is the status of the queue items?
That would be available. The initial would be available.
Okay, available. Okay. Now,
Sorry, it
hmm,
would be new.
yeah.
So I got confused with Blue Prism. I sorry.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so now you have all the items which are added in the new status and are available in the queue. Okay. Now,
Yeah,
what happens in the performer? So you get the items one by one, and then I guess you go to the SAP, log in, put the T codes, and
yeah,
then you delete the logs, correct?
yeah, correct. I mean, remove the logs. Yes, exactly.
Okay, so you remove the logs. Okay,
Yeah.
so to remove the logs, okay, so before that, first question, right? Where do you get the credential of SAP?
From assets
Okay, which type of
or
asset?
orchestrator credentials.
Okay, and which activity we are use in UiPath to get the credential?
Now, basically, we used RE framework for this. Yeah, we can get using get credentials activity.
Get credential. And what is the output?
Output, like output type you're asking, right?
Yeah, yeah. What would be the output, right? So let's say I read
Secure
a
string.
yeah, secure string. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you have went to SAP and you did that. Okay. Now in your performer, okay,
Mhm.
let's say
Yeah.
you have got an serial number which is not in SAP. So in the Excel, you have a serial number called 123. Okay. And
Uh-huh.
that serial number, when the robot
Yes.
inserted into the SAP, it's not there.
Mhm. Correct.
What would happen to the automation?
So that will be considered as a business exception. So the advantage is, I mean, SAP wise,
Hmm,
if
hmm,
the business partner is not existing,
hmm,
SAP will throw an status bar or error saying that XYZ customer is not available.
hmm,
So for this, I have used the activity called read status bar for SAP.
hmm,
So which gives three types of outputs. One is message
hmm,
and message type and message. I'm not sure about the third
hmm.
output like
That's
that.
fine. That's
So if it is warning, it throws W as the output type. If it is error, it throws E as output type.
hmm,
If it is success, that is, if the business part existing,
hmm.
it gives S as output type. So
Okay.
based on this, we can decide whether we need to throw business exception or we need to continue for the next steps.
Okay. And in case a business exception is generated, okay,
Mhm.
whom do you send this email to? To the business
Yeah,
people
to
or
the business owner. So in case it
hmm.
would be manager.
Okay, in that case, it could be the manager, right? Now,
Yeah.
today the manager is, let's say, Dinesh, right? Day after
Mhm.
tomorrow, your managers change the project, and now the manager is Mukesh, right? Where would you update the manager email ID?
So we can store it in, I mean, we can do it in two ways.
Mm-hmm,
One, we can manage the email ID of the manager in a configuration file, or it can be done in our assets. But I feel we can do it in orchestrator assets because again, we need, if we do it in configuration file, maybe we need to go to the project folder and configuration file and change it. So orchestrator would be like a easy solution, changing it in assets from orchestrator.
okay. And when we're talking about the business exception, right? Can you tell me the activity which we use to generate the business exception?
Activity type.
Yeah, which activity? Okay, so let's say you have got that the T code is not available, right? You have got an error
Yeah,
message
yeah,
as E, right?
yeah,
So you have
yeah.
stored that, okay, my error message is E, right? Now you have to generate a business exception, right? Which
Correct, correct,
activity you will
correct.
use? Log message, assigned
We,
activity, which activity?
no, we will use throw. Throw is for our custom exceptions which we want to do. Yeah,
Okay, so same like throw, we have one more activity which is called rethrow.
yeah,
Can you tell me the difference between them?
yeah. Rethrow is like rethrow is, it will just rethrow whatever error happened to the next level of workflows. or shortly I can say it's kind of exception bubbling.
Hmm.
It will move from one workflow to the next workflow
Okay.
or a higher level of process, I can say.
Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about your queue. Okay, so in your queue you have 700 items. Okay, so
Yeah.
one fine day, what happens that your robot is working and your SAP
Okay.
system is not responding at all. Okay, your
Okay.
SAP got
Yeah.
crashed. So the robot picks the first item, marks it into system
Mm-hmm.
exception. Robot pick the second
Okay.
item, marks it as system exception. The robot will now
Okay.
pick the third item and it will mark it as system exception. Right now, if you
Yeah.
think logically, if the SAP is
Mm.
down, right,
Yeah.
it's 90% chances that all the 700 items are going to fail because of system exception,
Correct.
right? So as a developer, what do you think? Is it correct or can I stop it? Should I stop it? What do you feel?
No, we can like the best practice would be we have to like yeah we need to try like number of like 2 times or 3 times.
Mhm.
If the error still continues, like part will stop.
Yeah, but it
So
will
yeah,
fail all the 700 items, right?
no like no 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 get transaction will have right like
Yeah.
it will try one by one.
Yeah, so first
So
first item it failed and then it will retry, right? And then the
yeah,
retry also will fail, right?
yeah,
Because SAP is not available.
correct.
So if the first item has failed after retry, the second item will also fail after retry, right? So if you
Yeah,
have 700 items, all of them are going to fail, right?
they are not going to fail.
Why?
Maybe they are going into abandon after 24 hours. So
Okay,
because it
now
will retry only 3 times,
uh,
right?
no, that depends, right? How many retries you have done, right? Now, since you have talked about abandoned, right? Can you tell me which
Yeah.
items are marked to abandoned?
So which were went into pending, maybe pending,
Pending,
but there was no action on that further
correct,
after
right?
24 hours also.
But for our scenario, we are marking it as failed, right? So will it still go into abandon? What do you think?
It will not go.
Are you sure?
Well, if we, look, it won't even try the after three, right? The condition is we have provided bot has to try only
Hmm.
3 times.
Right. So
So
after three attempts, so initially it was
yeah,
new, right? Initially the status was
yeah,
new, correct? After
yeah,
three
yeah.
retries, what would be the status?
For the like for the next apart from these three transactions, the all other will remain in new only.
Okay, okay, that's fine. Cool. Okay. Now I have one more question for you, right? So which version of UiPath Studio you are using?
Currently 2022.10.
2022.10, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell me any three features of this 2022.10 which were not previously, right? So you have an experience of 4 years now, right?
Yeah.
Any three features which are new in 2022.10?
Yeah, like compared to legacy, I mean old
Hmm.
UiPath, there were no like object repository. We have it in latest versions. Plus, we
Mhm.
do have modern design in this.
Okay.
And while creating the project, we have options like in previous old versions,
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
was used to create in Windows Legacy.
Hmm.
Now it will create in just Windows or cross-platform.
Okay.
Apart from this, there are slight changes in syntax.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
These are
Understood. And once you are done with the coding, right? Where do you store this code?
uh, you mean how to publish or how to publish the
Okay. So
process?
let me ask you a different question, right? So Dinesh has today coded 10 XAMLs. Okay.
Okay.
Was writing this SAP automation. He created 10 XAMLs and he went home. Okay. Now, before
Mhm.
leaving for home, right? Where do you save this code? The code needs to be saved, right? Someplace. Where do you save
Correct.
the code?
So, yeah, it depends on the organization.
Mm-hmm.
So few use version control or GitHubs are like that.
Hmm.
But in our system, in our organization, there was no such system. We just save it in our local only. And once it is completed, we will publish it and send it to our quality team through manager.
Okay, now I have a question for you, right? So, what do you think? Is it a good practice to save the code in the local? What are the challenges you
No
see?
challenges.
Okay, tell me a different question, right? What is the benefit of using that Git, SVN, TFS, right? What are the benefits? Why should you use it? Because you are not using it, right? So maybe you are
Yeah.
missing something, right? Or in other words, you can also tell me that what are the benefits you get when you use the Git and all.
So anybody can check our code. I mean,
Okay.
whoever have access,
Uh-huh.
and they can clone it or download it, and just if they have or if they want to work on it, they can work on it,
Mm-hmm.
and they can manage the versions like
Hmm.
even though like maybe after changing it, they can create
Hmm.
uh, latest versions. I mean, we can manage or maintain our code
Hmm.
in a standard way.
Okay, got it. So I am going through your resume, okay, and I see that in all the projects you have mentioned that you have good experience in working on SDDs, right? Can you tell me what exactly is the SDD?
Yeah, this is basically a document. So it
Mm-hmm.
will be prepared.
Mm.
Will do a senior consultant will do or the developer will do. It's a basically solution design document as definition goes.
Mm-hmm.
The content in it would be like what assets we are using, orchestrator URLs,
Mm.
who is that owner, and the diagram of the flow,
Mm.
uh, and the dependencies. So it depends again. It depends. Some organizations will maintain the SDD in form of Excel
Mm-hmm.
or in Word. So in our organization, it was in Excel. So first sheet would be basic details like
Mm.
project basic details and assets, the owner, and in second sheet we create a diagram, and third sheet we have dependencies.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so in one of your project, which is this cinema PR creation thing, right? You have mentioned that you have worked on the SQL and the databases, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell me how do you connect UiPath to database? Which activity I am using?
Yeah, sure. We have like in latest version, the activity naming has changed.
Okay.
So it is connect to database,
Hmm.
disconnect from database. To connect, it is
Hmm.
connect to database.
Okay. And
From
what is the input to that activity?
so these are basically credentials. Connection details. For example, we have connection wizard in
Hmm.
that would be data source,
Hmm.
data provider.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. So
and
I have one question for you, right? So let's say you have
mm,
built this automation, okay, and I am your client. Now
okay,
you have to set up this automation in my computer, right? Because at the end I am going to use it. Okay.
yeah,
My laptop is a brand new laptop. It does not have anything. It does not have the SQL server. It does not have anything at all, right? Now you
mm.
have to set up this automation on my end, right? If I just provide the connection detail, data source and all, right? Will I be able to connect to the database?
No.
So what would be the
There is
prerequisite
something
for the
called.
client? Yeah.
I mean, they have available database.
Hmm.
Maybe it can
Hmm.
be local or
Hmm.
maybe other thing. Like connection string we should have for that.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, but how would the client know, right? We need to inform the client that, okay, these are the prerequisite, these are the things you have, right? So when you deploy a project and when you say that, hey, client, the automation is ready, right? Do
Mhm.
you email them? Do you get on the call with them to explain all of this, right? how would the client know? Let's say I'm your client, right? How would I know that, okay, the SQL has to be installed, I need to open this port and all, right? How do you make sure that all of this is communicated to your client?
Yes, so it would be mentioned in a solution design document,
Mhm.
and in the call discussions also it may happen.
Okay. So I am done with my set of questions, Dinesh. Okay.
Yeah.
Before getting to the feedback, right, I just wanted to ask you, how do
Mhm.
you feel your interviewers?
It went maybe pretty well, but there are few gaps. Like I was able to answer, but not in a.
Mhm.
I was not giving 100%.
Okay. The second question is, how was your experience having this mock interview?
Yeah, like it was fine. I'm building confidence level, and I can check where I'm lagging, so
Uh-huh.
I can work on them.
Okay. So let me now come back to your feedback. Okay. See, first of
Mhm.
all, your interview is good. Okay. For a
Yeah.
4.6 years of experience, you have answered me pretty much all the questions, technically good, right?
Yeah.
You have given me some of the questions correct, like the config, you will put it in the assets about the credential assets, the add queue item, bulk queue, unique reference, rows.count, right? All of them are correct answers, right? There are
Mhm.
some areas which we need to improve, which I want to talk more about. The first one is the project explanation.
Mhm.
Okay, your project explanation can be better.
Okay.
Okay, so you need to work upon your project explanation. This is what I give feedback to everybody. So the same feedback to you as well, right? Because you are working on this project day in, day out. So many times
Mhm.
we assume that yes, it is a very straightforward product. So interviewer would know what is SAP, what are the logs, what is this, what is that. He will assume that yes, it's a daily process, right? But the idea is you have
Yeah.
to think it like the interviewer does not know anything about your project, right? So you have to explain it in details so that the complete picture of the project is given. Okay. So your project explanation can be better. Fine.
Yeah.
The second thing is about the queues.
Mhm.
Okay, we have discussed an scenario where I feel that you are not clear on the topic which is called queue item statuses. Okay, so
Mhm.
UiPath queue has different item statuses as keys keep on changing. And when I ask you questions on that, you have not given me the correct answers, right? I'll explain how. So first I have asked you questions. What happens if the items fail? The retry happens on the individual transaction. Okay, so first the robot will go to one transaction, it will retry, it will mark as system exception. That's it.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
next it will go to the next item, it will retry and then mark that also to the system exception after the retry is done. Now, if
Mhm.
I have 700 items and the SAP is not responding, all the items are going to fail with the help of system exception, right? But
Yeah.
technically, if you think, there is no point in running all of this automation. So UiPath RE framework has a setting which is called max consecutive system exception,
Mhm.
where you set this
Yeah.
flag in the config to, let's say, 4. So what would happen after 4 consecutive failures, the automation will automatically stop. It will not touch the new queue items, right? You brought up a term
Okay.
which is called abandoned, right? Which simply means that
Mhm.
you started an project, you started a transaction, right? You started executing a transaction, and suddenly what happened? The connection between the assistant and the orchestrator is lost. Okay, the
Mhm.
orchestrator and the assistant connection is lost. Now the transaction is in progress, right? It is neither success, it is not failure, it is not a business exception, nothing is happening. All these items are
Yeah.
marked to abandoned after 24 hours. But in case of
Mhm.
system exception, the status is set to failed, right? It's
Okay.
failed. The status is there, right? These items
Yeah.
will not go to abandoned. Understood?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the feedback for you is go back and read about this thing which is called the queue item statuses.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
throw Rethrow 2022.10 you have given me correctly. The other thing which you can improve is on the question where I ask you that in the unread email in your dispatcher part, right? How
Mhm.
have you automated that thing? So if you ask me that, Mukesh, how will you download and you make sure that the correct attachment is downloaded? First, I will go to read all the unread emails. Okay.
Mm,
Second, I'll validate the subject. Third,
mhm.
I will check whether the attachment is there or not. Fourth, I will check whether the attachment type is PDF or Excel. What you told me that I'll
Mhm.
download first all the attachment and then I'll validate in the folder. Whereas in your UiPath only, you can put the filter directly in the activity that, hey, download only if the attachment is PDF. Then I'll also check if the name of the attachment is correct. Then I'll open the attachment and I'll see whether the data in the attachment is correct or not. If all these check pass, then only I'm going to add it to the queue. Otherwise, I'll generate business exception,
Yeah. What is that?
right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
this is very small things, right? You might not have encountered, but as you are now getting into a senior developer role, right? You need to think the automation as a whole. Okay. The last
Yes.
question which I asked you recently was about this version control, which you have answered me correctly. But there was one question, right? How do you inform the client what are this and all that? There, whenever
Mhm.
we do the production deployment, there is something which is called a run book. Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay, fine. So before doing any deployment into production, there is something which is called run book, prerequisite, predefined template. Names are different, but the idea is that before we set up any automation into the production, we simply set a guideline, give it to the client or the
Okay.
customer, say that, hey, you should have the UiPath installed, you should have the Outlook should be connected, you should have an Outlook license, uh, you should have the database connection, the database string should be available. All of this we provide to the client and make sure that it is deployed. Yes, a little bit of this is in the SDD, but a dedicated run book is also created before you do the deployment. Okay.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so who will be giving that run book? Is it developer or architect or any senior
Developer plus
role?
architect together.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so this was the overall your interview was good. It was good. So I don't have anything. The one suggestion would be try to do the UiPath Advanced Certification, UiARD. Okay, because if you are applying for
Mhm.
jobs, UiARD, many companies are asking for it, right? So not a mandatory, but since you have good knowledge on UiPath and all, if you have that certificate, that is definitely going to add value. Okay,
Okay,
you can
sure.
prepare for
Yeah.
it and then give it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So that's it. Any questions you have for me?
No. Uh,
Okay.
Okay, so that is all for this video. I would like to wrap this video here. I hope this was insightful. If you have any more questions, any more doubts, feel free to write me in the comments, or you can also drop me an email as well. I would appreciate your feedback on the video and tell me in the comments what would be the next topic or next video you want to see. So with that, I would wrap this video here. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please do subscribe to the channel, and happy automation.